Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Kristen Deese.
Welcome to Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Today I have a special guest who really is kind of becoming a co-host, whether she knows it or not. My amazing wife, Kristen. And we're actually hanging out in the farm, on the farm, not in the farm, hanging out on the farm today. And I don't know, we just thought, hey, this would be a really cool topic to talk about. And we'll fill you in on what that is in a minute, but good morning.
Good morning. I think if we call it guest co-host, then it's not, I don't have to commit to it.
I'm writing that down. Guest co-host.
Yeah. So at the farm, have you told everybody about what the farm is yet?
I don't think so. I don't think I've really talked too much about the farm.
So the farm, so there's a movement across the country of folks moving from the suburban neighborhoods out into where you can have a little bit more space. What I was thinking about this morning, though, is a lot of the people who are doing this are about 15 or so years younger than we are right now. So we might be a bit behind the curve, but that's okay. It doesn't matter.
Which is odd. We're normally not behind the curve.
We're not, yeah. So we are in the process of making a transition from, well, one, we're kind of downsizing the house a little bit because we're about to be empty nesters. Like only a few more months, and then we're officially empty nesters. So we're downsizing the house just a bit, but we're going from half an acre to 14 acres. So
much more grass to cut.
Oh my gosh, so much more grass to cut. It's insane. But we are not up here full time yet. We just come up on the weekends and stuff. And part of the reason that we're not here full time is because in order to be here full time, you need a workspace that's not in the house.
We do, because apparently I'm loud when I'm on the phone or recording.
Yes.
Apparently I dominate.
You dominate.
Airspace.
Yes. So you need to have your own space, which you have your own space at the house we're coming from too, which is fantastic. So your new office is getting delivered today. So we are up here excitedly anticipating the delivery of your man shed.
Yep.
Which,
can't wait.
When we were talking to our kid, we were FaceTiming Zach a couple weeks ago, who's in the Marine Corps in North Carolina. And we were telling about how, we got it ordered and we got excited and this is what color it is and everything. And we called it the man shed. And he goes, mansion? Are you building a mansion? And we're like, no, man shed. And he's like, oh, okay. And so since then, it's been dubbed the mansion.
Which is interesting because the one we had built at the other house, they built it on site. They built it right there. And this one's actually a little bit bigger than the one we have there. And there's a certain design you wanted to match the house. You had some criteria. I'm like, I just need space. So that's my criteria. But so we found somebody to build it, and turns out they build it off site and bring it here. Now this is is it 16? 12 by 32.
Yeah.
But anyways, I didn't know that you could deliver
the 32 thing, which I mean, if you think about it, our camper is around that length.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
But so it's going to come on a tractor trailer bed, I guess, and then have some fancy little drivable machine that's going to place it. But this is
apparently one guy does it by himself.
Yeah. And this is not flat terrain. Like they've got to come down a hill and around a corner and whatever. So I'm tempted to set up a time lapse on the porch and
we're totally going to do that.
Have the video watch because it's going to be pretty cool. But anyway, so yeah, I dictated what the outside needed to look like, and then you can do whatever you want on the inside. Because the outside's what I have to look at.
Yeah, so we'll have some pictures, I'm sure, on social media. I'm sure if you're listening, we're friends on social media, and if not, we should be. So come find us on social media, and all the show notes will have how to connect with us and You can see the delivery of the mansion starting to happen, and that'll be the new podcast studio, which is pretty cool. The other one was a shop first, and then it was converted into a studio. So there's a little bit of challenges that happen there, where this one is designed, the inside of it is designed to be a studio. So it's already going to be spray foamed, and all the electrical's already where it's supposed to be. So I'm pretty pumped. I'm like a kid right before.
Can you tell he's excited?
Yeah, it's like right before. Actually, it is right before Christmas, and I feel like Christmas morning as a kid. I can't wait. So
yeah, this is gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be cool. So I know
yes,
they didn't
come to hear us talk about our mansion, but
aren't they glad they did though? But let's talk about our topic. So our topic for today, we're going to talk about the cost of hiring a tech. Now, some episodes ago, we did talk in general about a cost of a hire and kind of a cost of a bad hire. We had an episode on that. But this one is going to be specifically about the cost of a hiring of a technician, because that does come up a lot. Before we get into that, a little bit of scroll. I love your coffee cup.
My coffee cup says, "In case of emergency, ask Justin."
Hashtag source. What does it say? Hashtag source of all wisdom.
Source of all the wisdom. It was a little too close. I couldn't see it.
That is a really cool coffee cup.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway.
it's metal or tin.
A little off track there, but it's okay. Cost of hiring a technician. I know in our industries, that's obviously a big thing, and a lot of times people go, "I got to hire more techs," and they don't really put any thought into what the process looks like. So I think that you're very good at this topic and can kind of walk us through that process and what it looks like and all the good stuff.
Yeah, I've had a few questions lately about how much capital somebody needs to have kind of ready or expect to spend in order to bring that new person on, because especially from the technician standpoint, you have that period of time where they are not a revenue generator. They will be eventually, but they're not yet. And so it costs money to make money, right? That's the same thing that you would always tell me every time you wanted to spend money. And I was like, no, I don't want to spend money. And you're like, it costs money to make money.
It's my go-to if I want to buy something and you
and I
shut
said
me down.
No.
Costs money to make money, babe. You're like, how does the new side-by-side make money? Because it does.
Because it does.
It's like Positrack on a plane.
That's right. So, so I worked through with a couple of clients recently of how do we actually put a dollar amount on what it cost to bring on a new technician in that time period between when you hire them and when they're actually out there generating revenue. So really it's literally a list. I did in Excel because I like Excel, but you could do it on a piece of scratch paper just to start laying stuff out. But there's all kinds of things to think about beyond just their hourly rate while they're working.
So before we dive into that, at the end of the episode, we'll give your email address. And if somebody would like a copy of that spreadsheet, they can send you an email. Fair?
Yes.
Or is there another way you would like to do that?
No, that's fine. It'll be a minute till that form is ready because it's...
To disseminate? Okay, that's fine.
But yes, that's totally fine.
I like it. People like free stuff.
I know they do.
So
do I. Here's a couple of the things that that we came up with when we were working through this on a client activity. One was the time put into the onboarding of the people who are already on your team. So if you have your HR person or your direct supervisor is spending, 3 hours doing onboarding and paperwork and all that kind of stuff with your new hire, then you would count those hours or dollars towards the cost of hiring a technician. The cost of uniforms, we have to uniform the guy or gal. So the cost of getting their first set of uniforms to them. If your company is one that provides hand tools, some companies, they want their technicians to come with their own hand tools. And I understand why, because, a lot of times technicians will take more better care of the tools than where they are if they had to purchase them themselves.
I know that when we first were getting started, we provided hand tools and very quickly we stopped.
Yeah, because it's like they would leave them on the job
Boss
site
man, I
or
can't
whatever.
find my screwdrivers I
Yeah.
just bought. Well, cool, go buy more.
But you also have business owners who want that uniformity. They want to make sure
Right.
that, they're using the proper tool. That was actually a big but a big reason why the one company that I was talking to provided the tools, because he's like, I don't want them using the wrong tool to get something done because they didn't, whatever. So putting a dollar amount on the hand tools that you provide, if you provide them.
Well, so I would say this, as you're doing, because I do think that you should have a tool list. So you should have a list of tools that are, and there's a difference between hand tools and specialty tools. Like from a plumbing company's perspective, a hand tool is not, if you use ProPress, that's a specialty tool.
Right.
And that's not
That's
something
different.
you need them to provide. But like screwdrivers and whatever.
Your
pipe
drill
wrenches
and your whatever. Yeah. So the company that I did this exercise with, their dollar amount was $1,500. So they said, we anticipate about $1,500 in hand tools that we're providing for the technician in order to get them started.
Okay, very cool.
Cell phones or tablets, if you're providing them so that they can get into the software, or even if they're not using it for software purposes, if you're providing them any technology. So the initial cost, if there is one, and then whatever the monthly cost would be. And then, of course, we have the big one, which is their payroll, that new tech's payroll. So we would be looking at the dollar amount that they make as a base. And then we would also be calculating if we anticipate they would get any overtime during their training period. So in this particular example, we figured about 4 or 5 hours a week in overtime. We figured about 4 or 5 hours a week in overtime. And this particular example, we did $25 an hour. So $25 an hour with a couple of hours each week of overtime, it comes out to $9,500 a month in just those wages to that technician.
How long, and you may have already said this and I may have totally missed it. How long are you factoring in your onboarding, or have you said that yet?
Their training period or not yet.
Okay.
We'll get there. Okay.
I'm taking good notes.
I know. I know. So you have your wages and then the payroll taxes that go along with it. I want to say they're a little over 7% for the employer side of it. So we figure that in. That was about $750. And then the workers' comp, because workers' comp for technicians is significantly higher than it is for admin people. So when we look at how much it's costing us to have that person, especially during the training period, we can factor in that workers' comp cost too. Each industry, it's going to be slightly different in the rates and stuff, but for sure it's going to be higher than administrative people.
Right.
So when we came down with that, actually I gave you a wrong number. The technician wages is actually about $47.50 a month. So this particular example, we were considering the training period being 8 weeks or 2 months.
Okay.
Okay. This particular industry, they can get their technicians up and going in a pretty quick period of time. I also realized that there are certain states and licensing that requires apprentices to be apprentices for an extremely long amount of time. And we are not talking about those situations here.
You're talking about the state of Alabama.
I want to say
there's a lot of
there's a lot of
like
states.
that.
There's a lot of states that are like this. So we're not talking about those situations. We're talking about the ones where you can get somebody up and going in, a couple months.
And there's also a difference between hiring an apprentice tech and hiring an experienced tech.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times where companies get a little bit sideways on this is sometimes they'll do a really good job of onboarding apprentice style technicians, but then and I'm air quoting here because you should always trust but verify. And I think a lot of times when we're hiring, it's almost out of desperation. It's like, oh my gosh, somebody quit. I need to hire another person. Somebody walks in the door like, yep, I know your software. I know what to do. I'm amazing. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. You're amazing. Here's your truck. Here's the keys. Go with it. Mm-hmm. And that's so bad for not only that business, but for our industry as a whole. But so I think whatever you've got is an onboarding, and again, we can talk about onboarding as a whole different topic, but whatever you have from a cost perspective, even if you're listening and you're like 2 months is not how long I need, this is just an example. So
Right.
you come up with your own, it's your business, you can do it however you want. It's a beautiful thing about it. But whatever time frame you feel like is how long it takes to get someone in a truck generating revenue for you, whatever that looks like, you do the same process, whether they've got 20 years experience or 2 days experience, but you trust but verify. So maybe 2 months is what you do for this type of technician, but somebody comes in and they know everything. Make sure that you can verify that before you just put them
Absolutely.
in a vehicle and have them roll with it.
Absolutely. So when we talk about these, like this training program, so in this example, they're figuring 8 weeks. So they're figuring the cost of what it will cost to the company over that 8-week period to be $12,700. So $12,700 is the cash that they have to have ready when they hire a new technician to get them up and going in those first 2 months. Now,
And that doesn't include vehicle materials.
no, that's right. So that does not include, that assumes that you already have a vehicle that's stocked and ready to go for them to jump into. Now, if you need to add a vehicle and, well, if you need to start from scratch and wrap and shelve it, and then you need to fill it with material, that obviously is going to be a little bit of a different
that's
expense there. But we're talking about just, we're assuming in this situation that you already have the van ready to go. Maybe you're replacing somebody. So it's not necessarily
Maybe you're upgrading.
growth. Maybe you're upgrading. Maybe it's upgrade season. So then the thought process comes up of, well, what happens if they're not ready to go on their own yet at the end of your 8-week time period when you've done your cost estimation? So there's 2 train of thoughts there. One, if your technician isn't ready to go at the end of your training period, maybe they aren't a good technician, right? Or maybe they just need a little bit more help and they're not totally fully ready to go out on their own yet. That's okay. We have on our list of costs that we identified earlier, onboarding hours, uniform, hand tools, cell phone, wages, all that kind of stuff. Some of them are one-time initial expenses and some of them are ongoing. Okay. So of the things that we listed, the ones that are ongoing, cell phone, wages, payroll taxes, workers' comp, comes in at about $5,500 a month. So each month moving forward that technician is in training, air quote, it's $5,500 a month in cost to the company.
And that's based on what hourly did you use?
25.
Okay, so $25 an hour.
Now, it would be reasonable to say, or this would be my goal if it was my business, right? If my goal is I would want to teach the technician, especially a newbie, some of the easiest jobs that can be taught and some of the most common ones that you guys are running. And then they can start running those simple, easy jobs on a part-time basis, enough to at least cover their cost of $5,500 a month. And then you can use that additional time beyond that to continue the training process. But now at the end of your training period, they're at least generating enough revenue to cover their cost.
Yeah, I think a lot of owners and leaders in our industry, they get jammed up on how long it takes to get a technician out there.
Or that the technician has to know every single thing before they can go.
Right. And the truth is, if you look at the calls that you run, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's a good chance that 80% of your calls are going to be kind of very basic. Mm-hmm. And it's that 20%, which is the next level of the difficulty in whatever trade that you do. And I think when we're onboarding someone, especially someone that's newer, focus on that 80%. You know, the 80-20 rule is a real thing. If you haven't heard of it, Google it. There's all kinds of resources out there. But I know when we were really starting to grow our first plumbing company, I was getting frustrated with, no offense to plumbers, but I was getting frustrated at the experienced technicians that were coming in. And I remember going into the leadership team and going, all right, so we got a plan, never hiring another experienced plumber ever. And the look on everybody's face was like, you have lost your mind. I'm like, but wait, there's more. But I had been building a training plan of what was our 80% of our calls. And really, when I did all that research and I started working, it was 6 things from the plumbing side. I mean, it was drain cleaning, it was garbage disposals, it was toilets. And I started thinking, if I spend one solid day in a training room with a technician talking about toilets, at the end of that one day, if that person couldn't do everything needed for a toilet, they probably need to find another job. So now instead of running this course for 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, I mean, there's a lot of people that we would bring in, and it was easy to trust but verify. I will tell you, we do hire experienced techs. It was sometimes you have those moments of frustration. You're like, never are we doing this again. That was my moment. But the good that came out of that was I did build a really awesome training program for technicians, and it was a 6-week program and that was to bring apprentice techs in and have them being a revenue generator. And at that time, 0 to 6 weeks, our goal was, I think it was like $32,500 a month in revenue goals that we had for those. And the ones that made it past the 6 weeks, they were doing that. And we probably went through, we'll call it more than a dozen, because I would bring in 10 people at a time and just train them. And if, every morning, if you're in a classroom and I know if you show up on time, I know what you look like, I know what your attitude is, I know if you smell like last night or Pall Malls from the parking lot and all those good things. So, definitely be intentional with your training and your onboarding.
Well, and when you can tie an actual dollar amount, like an actual specific, pretty accurate dollar amount to every week or month that person is on the payroll, and it sounds almost like Grand Theft Auto, where there's like a dollar sign on top of their head when they're walking around. But when you look at that person and you're like, why am I paying for this? Like, look at what it's costing me. Why am I paying for this? Sometimes it will allow you to look at the yellow flags that you're seeing and actually be like, okay, this is not going to be a good fit. This is costing the company $12,000. Is this $12,000 a good investment? Or do I need to invest this $12,000 somewhere else?
So in the scenario you were given, what was the monthly burn rate for an in-training technician based on $25 an hour?
Not including those initial costs.
Just after all that's done.
It was about $5,500.
Okay, so about $5,500. So
then we didn't, like, there's I'm sure that a lot of people that are listening use ServiceTitan. That did not count the ServiceTitan.
Or any software.
And the reason that we didn't count it in this experience or this example is because this particular client didn't turn them on to the mobile version, didn't make them a managed tech until they were out on their own.
Yeah.
So the training period for them wasn't. But if part of your training period is teaching them how to use ServiceTitan, then you might have to turn it on earlier, right?
If they're going to be a
right
generating tech, that does need.
Right.
So let's say 6,500. Let's say there's some other ancillary things that whatever. Let's say it's $6,500. Now, when you have that new technician coming in, each month that they're in training after that initial month, you have to ask yourself, am I willing to invest $6,500 in this technician for 3 more additional months to get to get an ROI, right?
Yep.
And that's only if they make $25 an hour. And there's a lot of parts of the country that is now even starting techs are
higher than that, right? The minimum wage across the country is just continues to go up and up and up, which is that's part of everything. So, but yeah, the list, the whole point of this is you fill it in with your cost, like your line items of the different things that you incur and whatever it cost for you. The idea is that if it doesn't get measured, it doesn't get managed. So if we are able to put a dollar amount on this, then it will hopefully make you more efficient in your 1, training period, and 2, hiring process and weeding out those that maybe shouldn't be on the team or sounded good during the interview and then aren't doing so great after they come in.
They sounded really good.
Yeah. They answered all the questions the right way and they sounded great. And I really just need somebody to run these calls. And
so truth is too, something you just said about the getting managed and measured and all that kind of good stuff. The truth is, if there is a part of your business that you're not looking at on a regular basis, I just was having this conversation with a group the other day, and we happened to be talking about booking rate for customer service. And it's funny because there were some that were like, well, I feel like we do great.
Who feel like,
Dude, that is the worst. If you ever catch yourself in your business using terms like, I think, I feel, you
in
might
terms
be in
of your
trouble.
numbers, in terms of your numbers.
In terms of your numbers.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess
what's
it
an
could
example
be more.
of not?
I feel like my employee doesn't do anything. I guess that would be KPI related. So I guess that could be
100%.
numbers.
So you're not, if you're not measuring it,
Yep.
if you're doing KPIs and scorecards and one-to-ones and checking in with your team member on a regular basis, you won't ever have to feel that. No mo. You can say, hey, look, here's your scoreboard. You're either there or you're not. And if you're not, you gotta step up or step out. Like it's one of the two.
So anyway, circling back to the point you were trying to make of you should never have to say, or you shouldn't find yourself saying, I feel like, because everything is something that you can measure. And then if you're measuring it, then it's not a feel like, it is or it is not. There's no feeling there. I mean, there might be some emotion arised from the numbers, but
There's emotion when you look at the numbers. You're like, what? But no. Awesome. All right. So I know we're getting pretty close to time. So is there any kind of closing thoughts that you have on this topic?
I am excited to do the second portion of this conversation in a
what is
few
the
days.
second portion?
So we're rapidly closing in on the end of 2024 and looking into 2025 at the time of this recording. And everybody's setting revenue goals and what they want to do, and big, hairy, audacious goals. Those BHAGs, which is fantastic. And then their question to me becomes, great, how do I do that now? How do we go from 8 million to 10 million, or how do we go from 2 million to 5 million, or whatever the goal is? And so my answer is always, I'm glad you asked. There is a formula. There is a way to figure out, how many technicians that you need and all the things. There's a handful of variable numbers in there that we can identify, but to be able to calculate that and be able to say with pretty good confidence, you need this number of technicians to get to this revenue goal. So that is going to be what we talk about next, which I'm pretty excited about. I like all this kind of stuff. I love the number side of things. And I love being able to say, when you can make this one little tweak in this one little thing, this one little number, how does it affect 10 steps down the road? When you make one little tweak in your booking rate, or you make one little tweak in your conversion rate, or you bring your average ticket up by $10, what does it do over a course of a year? That kind of stuff is super exciting. I know everybody's probably like, meh, but I mean, cool.
I'm not a numbers person, and spreadsheet person is not me, but it is pretty exciting to see those little tweaks and those little changes make these giant, humongous impacts. And the truth is when you're running a business, when it's thriving and excelling and exceeding the expectations that you have, it's fun. And when it's not fun. So part of that is being intentional. And I think that's the challenge a lot of times, is that we are in a very difficult business. There's trucks, there's tools, there's parts, there's people, there's, all the things. Not to mention that all of our businesses, a technician leaves your building and goes to a customer's home or building or place of business or whatever, but they're leaving. It's not like customers are bringing you their HVAC system, their toilet, or whatever. So it's just very difficult to kind of wrangle that part in.
Talking about it being fun, right? Because it's more fun when the numbers are good, when we're seeing good numbers on it. I will say in like the last couple of financial reviews that I've done with clients over the last few weeks, it is fun. It's fun for me when they do well too, because when we go through the numbers and we go through that we do the financial review and we get all the way down to the bottom and they're pulling 25% net profit. Heck yeah, that's freaking awesome. It's it's pretty exciting. And even when they're surprised, when they're like, oh, I mean, I thought we did good, but I didn't think we did that good. Like it's pretty cool.
So anyways, thank you so much for being a co-host.
Guest, co-host.
I'll get her to commit at some point. It worked for getting married. I wore you down.
You did wear me down. You wore me down. So here we are.
The ultimate sell. So anyways, appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. And stay tuned. We're gonna do some more recording now that we have this new studio, the mansion coming in. Hopefully she'll want to hang out in there more, and we can do more of these podcasts. So appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. And all this information will be in the show notes. And I'm going to say this too. If you want a copy of that spreadsheet, Kristen's email is Kristen, Kristen, at KristenDeese.com. KristenDeese.com.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.